Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 102 of the Take Up All podcast with Andy Cummins and Declan Carroll. This is covering the Wednesday and Thursday of the Punchestown Festival. And Dec, the only way is probably up after that first day. Janie, Max, some of the SPs. How are things? How was the course anyway?
Oh, look, great day, great buzz, great atmosphere, great weather, terrible results.
Well, I don't think Jesus Christ himself would have got out alive there today.
When you see Cham Coyley being beaten on his preferred ground last week and then winning today, you know, what hope have you got?
I specifically said he had no chance on that one. By name, he's no chance. So there you go. But stop listening now.
It was a great day. Like, you know, the British winners are brilliant. They're adding so much to the festival, and to see the Smiths win, like it was great. Like, you know, it adds so much to the festival. And look, I had a good day anyway. Plenty of handshaking, met lots of people. A couple of points in my new tent, and looking forward to doing it all over again tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to tomorrow. Definitely a lot of good bets on the card. I will just go back to that first British winner, Ben Smith. Like, if anyone didn't notice that ride for a £7 claimer, like basically stone last, 3 from home, and like it was like Paul Carby claiming 7 all over again. It was a really, really good ride. So good stuff. Sorry, Dec?
No, it was like the family, you know, they own the horse, I think, as well, do they?
I think it's all family. I'm not sure. I think it's owners might be close friends. I was listening to the interview. I'm not 100% sure, but it was a phenomenal piece of race riding. It was really, really impressive for a £7 glamour.
Like that race is so
competitive, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, going back, we talked about Cham Coyley. He's probably sent Ballyburn back hurdling. Obviously, Lecky Watson only got to the 4th or 5th, and then brought down a stablemate in Perry Bass.
Never thought he'd win the race.
Yeah,
thought he'd win it. And Sean O'Keefe stepped back to have a quick chat with Willie. He was last out, and it's not often you see that. Like, you know, Willie would often say he leaves things up to the jockeys. Like, I was like, well, maybe they think he's the one, but I don't think he was ever comfortable. Never jumped well. And look, just one of those days, wouldn't put me off talking him up for the Gold Cup, though, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just one run, especially at the Punchestown Festival. These things can happen. A horse he had a lot of faith in for a long time. Ironsi kind of announced himself on the stage with a very impressive performance. Obviously, Kopek the board underperformed, but
yeah,
it was very impressive. He hit the line hard. You know, lot to take in there for next year.
We mentioned the form of the form of the Supreme.
Quite for about 10 minutes. Yeah,
take Ironsi out of it, and it's happened again. They've beaten each other again. I thought Kopek the board. Did Salvador Mundi go a silly gallop, and like,
he still finished second though Monday, so you know,
and I just thought he was more comfortable than Kopek the board. I thought Kopek the board was very keen earlier, and Salvador Mundi looked a lot more comfortable. Then I was wondering, was he going too hard? And the pace class, but as you said, he still finished second. So I just don't think the form of the Supreme is what people are making it out to be. And maybe Ironsi is the machine, but he just can't travel.
Yeah, Mark Walsh said he didn't enjoy the track, but you have to remember he was having his first start since early November in the Supreme Novices Hurdle, and it was his 3rd hurdle start of his life. So, you know, maybe he just needed it. Yeah. Like, there's every chance he might have just needed to run. In hindsight, we'll see. Obviously, he's an older prospect. He's 7 rising 8 next year. Obviously, missed the season. But look, he's still a very, very exciting prospect to go chase him at next year. And then obviously
we had. Go down the champion hurdle route.
Why not? You know, that could be wide open.
You gotta waste a season of his chasing. Like, we just go maybe it's not going to be for him to try win a champion hurdle.
Yeah, and he's a strong traveller as well. Like he travelled a long way off the pace, obviously today, but like he finds plenty. He's quite a genuine horse. Like there's a lot to like about him. And then going on to the 2 mile chase. Look, fair play to Connections for having a go with Facta Foil, but we say it a lot that 2 mile chasing at the highest level is like outside of the banks racing. It is the most niche thing in racing, in my opinion. Like there's very few horses that are grade 1 2 mile chasers, and there was no fluke that the 3 horses jumping the last together were Marine Nationale, Captain Guinness and Solness, who have all won 2 mile chases at the top level. It's a very, very hard division to get into, and I never count the Arkle, I never count novice chases in that. Like open 2 mile chasing at the highest level is, you cannot make a mistake. No. You have to be foot perfect.
He was flat to the boards the whole way, wasn't he?
Yeah. And look, he might have had a long season.
Yeah.
But teaching a horse to settle for over half a season and then letting them, letting the lid off after over 2 miles at the end of April, maybe in hindsight not the best idea, but he's still an interesting horse for next year. But God, Marine Nationale was impressive on that ground, wasn't he? Like he was really, really. One of the better 2 mile performances I've seen in quite a while now. Hopefully that division goes from strength to strength now, and fair play to Barry Connell and Marine Nationale. Right, Deck, we've 16 races to get through, so I suppose we better get cracking. We're going to start with a nice and easy one, the Adair Manor Opportunity Series final handicap hurdle over 2.5 miles. Shouldn't be too difficult.
I thought you said it couldn't get any worse.
Yeah, just the 25 going to post for this one. And we've got McManus's unloading all the caps as well. Obviously for the Adair Manor, he owns the Adair Manor, isn't he? So he's probably going to want to win his own race. So all the caps are getting a run out in this one. I think thanks for the help in the blue cap is as far as I go down. I see a red cap. I think the blue cap is worse than the red cap though, isn't it? And the biggest price of his runners at the moment looks like it's in for the night. It's 16-1, who's the one I actually fancy. I'm not going to ditch him. But before I speak about him, Deck, who do you like out of the 25?
Out of the 25 McManus horses.
Yeah.
Look, hands-on's in here for over the year. Did beat Eagle Fang at Cork only 3 starts ago, but seems like it was a long. It doesn't seem like it was a long time ago. Was his last run at Punchestown?
He hasn't ran in a long time. No, I don't think it was. It might have been. I don't think it was Punchestown. I don't think it was the festival. I think it was the summertime. I think he did run at the festival last year, but I think he had one run the summer around Kilbeggan or something, or maybe Ballinrobe or something.
It was wasn't he?
Yeah, he was well beaten.
Yeah, but look, I don't fancy him, but I'll be keeping a close eye on him. I'm interested to see how he runs. Joined Haystacks. He was pulled up on heavy last time out, but he has won. He did win the time before that. That was at Leopardstown. Would have been on decent ground. I'd be happy to just put a line through the last run, and I'd say he'll want the ground we're going to get tomorrow. I can see him running a decent race. Might drop, probably not going to get in. Third reserve, was well held in his handicap debut. Before second back in the maiden company the last day, I could see him going well if he was to get in, but the one I quite like is the Philip Hobbs horse and the Cap Verde.
Okay, right.
Yeah, is he named after a McManus runner? The green cap, is it?
Okay, Cap Verde.
Cap Verde. He was a novice winner at Exeter. The second has actually gone and won twice. He was third in the race. That Diva Luna was second in. Diva Luna was placed in the Mayor's Novice at Cheltenham. I think she's a nice enough horse. He was sixth in the Albert Bar, the qualifier, that Blue Hop killed the Crazier and Daisy or ran in. Probably took a bit of a hammering today, that form, but I can see this British Raider going well tomorrow. Nice enough price.
Yeah, like he didn't seem to, like he's tried intermediate trips twice and looked like he's failed to stay both times, which is why he that's what alerted him, me to him anyway. Coming back to 2 miles, it's going to be a fiercely run race, and I'd imagine the trip is going to be a plus here coming back down. Ground is going to be quick enough for him. It's not a negative, but it's probably an unknown. Albeit he has a bit of point form on decent ground. Again, he kind of failed to see it out that day as well. Definitely one in with a chance though, Deck. He's around between 16 20 to 1, depending on where you look. I'm going to stick with In for the Night. It was one I put up a few weeks ago when he won at Nice. Now, I will, admittedly, that form has taken a few knocks. Obviously, the second's been well beat. And they did pull well clear, and Aidan Kelly has deserted them as well. So Aidan Kelly is now on Beyond Your Dreams for Joseph O'Brien. Charlie O'Dwyer takes over, and because this is an Adair Manor race and Charlie O'Dwyer is relatively experienced for the context of the race, there's no claim here. So Aidan Kelly claiming 5 and this horse going up, what, £7? So like the horse has gone up a fair whack, but if people remember back to when I did tip him, I'm tipping him off the basis of a second to Farmer's Lodge at Ferryhouse in November. And despite him getting the £7 and not having Aidan Kelly's claim, I still think he's going to be very competitive off his revised mark of 114. The ground is very, very important to this horse. He's probably going to need a bit of luck and run, and I imagine he's going to be ridden cold again. But that wouldn't bother me too much. I think he's going to be coming home well, and probably with your lad, Deck, we could be fighting out to finish. Both these lads coming from Blessington, I'd say. But I think this horse has a decent chance. Obviously back to form last time out, around 14 or 16 to 1. Definitely worth a few quid each way. And I see what's the Fairyland Opera looks like is the favourite. He kind of rubbed me the wrong way when he just wouldn't seem to go by Duke Alega, I think, in that race at Nice in February. Was second then to a Manhab, who I think you tipped up that day, Deck, and Navan. Yeah. And he won a maiden basically not coming off the bridle at Tremor, and I think that's what's factoring into his price. But he's one that could be coming there swinging at the last and just won't go by. So I'll just kind of proceed with caution on him. But it's In for the Night for me, Deck, and it's the English Raider Cap Ferret for yourself, is it?
That's it, yeah.
Lovely. Right, well, that was nice, easy one to wheel us in. The Punchestown, one of Punchestown's kind of staple events now in recent years, the Connolly's Red Mills Irish EBF Auction Series final over just shy of 2.5 miles is next on the card. Similar to the Albert Bartlett Series qualifier, this gives kind of horses just under the top bracket a chance to win a decent enough pot, just under €45,000 to the winner, so well worth winning. 16 runners going to post, Deck, and this is an auction race, so the weights can be a little bit funny here. The poor old one and only rated 102, having to carry 11-12. Meanwhile, horses down the bottom, like This Is the Way, rated 116, but she only carries 10-13. So looking at the weights, very important here, obviously. But which one do you fancy out of the 16, Deck?
Look, there's two I like. I like a tip for gold. We've spoken about him a few times before. Mm-hmm. He wasn't beaten fair in his last run for Mags Mullins, and then he's moved to Declan Queally. He went wrong, or he lost his action at Leopardstown. He was going all right that day. He's been toured to Jacob's Ladder in a grade 3 Nice since. Form's probably taken a bit of a knock, but the one I really like is down Mexico Way, and he's rated 133. He beats Scat Lagoon. Sorry.
Okay, I know I said okay, yeah.
Yeah. He's beating Scat Lagoon at Down Royal. He was beat 13 lengths behind Iron Sea at Ferryhouse in the grade 2. He was 11 lengths behind Carnegie in his maiden, I think it was at Tremor. My slight worry is that he was behind a horse in this, Scott Can Do. And he's done nothing since. But
that was over 2 miles though.
Yeah, I'll put a line through it. And look, is he the highest rated in the race?
I believe he is off 133. Yeah. He's a pound clear of Millforce, but Millforce also has to give him £4.
Yeah, and after, for all we think of the Supreme, he's far behind Iron Sea, which we've just talked up there as well. So I think he could take a bit of beating now in this, especially being highest rated.
Absolutely. Very good. Well, my basically bet of the week comes in this race. And any eagle-eared listeners would have maybe found this one out. Because I did say to Philip, prepare yourself and get on early, and I hope he has, because Rocky Mountain Blue is finally stepping back up to 2.5 miles after Spacey spending a season over 2 miles. I thought it'd be for a handicap, but this is a decent pot to go after. He's nicely weighted at 11 stone 4. His rating of 122. I think he would have been chucked in if he went for a went to a handicap off it. He started the season beating Sounds Victorious pretty much over this course and distance, a little bit further than the 2 mile, 3.5. It was over 2.5. Beat Sounds Victorious relatively easy at 40-1, and then they've just been running them over 2 miles, which is just short of his best, behind the likes of Kitzbühel, Disco Dancer, Honesty Policy, who went on to win a grade 1, and then he was quite an eye catcher, I thought, the last day behind Shuffle the Deck. He ran on, made some late gains, was beaten about 10 lengths, so it wasn't it was probably enough to alert me, but like anyone that watched it back, I think you would think he's ran a nice race. His run behind Honesty Policy was interesting, and admittedly he does have to go and reverse form now with Champagne Jury and Coral River, but I'm confident he will over the 2.5 miles. I think he's going to be a much better horse when he sees intermediate to stay in trips, and I think this has been the plan all year for him. I really fancy him, so I'd be very disappointed if he wasn't at least placed. I'm going to be having a nice punt on him. I probably already have. So yeah, it's Rocky Mountain Blue for me. Bet of the week as it stands. So hopefully he runs well. And Deck, for yourself, it was the highest rated in the field down Mexico. Lovely. Right, onto the 340, the Louis Fitzgerald Hotel Hurdle. It's over again, similar trip, 2 mile train, 58 yards. Bit of a purgatory hurdle, this, is it? I suppose there's a few unexposed types in it. Cade Daughy, he could be tailed off or win this half the track. Or he probably starts and finishes with him, Deck, but who do you think?
Yeah, it's a very, very tricky one. I came down on St. Lefort, maiden winner last month. The third has won since, only a 5-year-old. But tricky race to work out. It's hard to find an angle in a race like this, isn't it? Like Blue
make
Mosque
a failure.
Sorry?
It can make a failure a race like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Blue Mosque is in here, and she could make a fool of me now. Again, if I went for it. I'm not going for it. She might make a fool of me even more, but I'll stick with St. Lefort.
St. Lefort. I will go with one of Willie Mullins's other runners, Got Glory, who she just needs to complete the course based on her last 3 runs. But she pulled up behind Kitzbühel in December on her return. She was travelling nicely behind July in the race that July Flower won at Leopardstown at Christmas time. She fell at the third last. It was the second last that day. I think it was the admitted last, but she wasn't half travelling behind July Flower that day at a big price, and she was travelling all over Beckett Rock and Bunting before falling at the second last in a conditions race at Clonmel, which I followed quite closely. Admittedly, it's cost me a few quid with Bunting, but I still don't think it was that bad a race, because I still think Beckett Rock's a nice horse, but I think this is a good race for her to get back on track, and I think at 11-4, I'd be happy to take a chance that if she stays on her feet, she'll hopefully go and win. Onto the 415 Deck, the Channer Real Estate Group Novice Hurdle. It's a grade 1 over the 3 miles, and we've got the Albert Bartlett winner, Jasmine DeVoe, in here, and obviously a horse that you very much like, Card Counter, and the Aintree winner, Honesty Policy, as well. Deep enough renewal here, 8 runners. Who do you like?
If I was confident Card Counter will handle the ground, he'd be my bet of the day now.
Right, okay.
5-year-old, he fell on Hurdle's debut in a hot enough maiden. I think I might discuss this maiden with a few people on Twitter, and a few people have picked out really nice winners since then from that maiden. He's 2 from 2 since. Thought he was very, very good from the front at Navan. He was second to Sarah Fatal in the point-to-point. He looks like a really nice horse, and yeah, look, if he's gonna handle the ground, I can't see anything getting near him here. I think he's a really nice horse, and I think he's a bright future ahead of him. He's one I'm really looking forward to. There's one at quite a big price that I think could run well. Look at the City, fell the last day. Strong enough form before that, and might be just one of the big price to run into the places. But if Card Counter handles the ground, I can't see him being beaten.
Yeah, I'd be comfortable enough swerving the Albert Bartlett form myself. Now, the Big Westerner was saying it was reported to be in season after her run last week at Ferryhouse, so there was excuses there. But I just think there might have been there's better novices out there than Jasmine DeVoe. 6-4 skimpy enough for a horse that has had jumping issues. Now, admittedly, he was good at Cheltenham, but I wouldn't be in a rush to be steaming in at 6-4. Like previous Cheltenham winners of this race, or Cheltenham winners that have won this race, the likes of Galopin de Champ and let's say Champagne Classic and Kiltovic. Was it Kiltovic? Or was it? No, Kiltovic didn't win. One of it was actually maybe it was Kiltovic. They've had more solid profiles, I think, than Jasmine DeVoe. So I think he's happy to leave him. Honesty Policy, it's a quick enough turnaround. I'd nearly be with you, Deck. I'm not going to have a punt in this race, but I'd like how much you like Card Counter. I'm happy to sit up and listen to you there, and I'd follow you in. I think he's definitely a nice horse. Not sure he needs a staying trip to be brutally honest with you, but I can see where they're trying to.
I think it will eventually bring out the best of him.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought we might see him on the Friday though, over the
but he's won over 2 mile 5 or 2 mile 6 the last day, I think.
True. Yeah. No, he absolutely has 2-6. Yeah, at Navan. Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a fair enough point. Onto the bumper then. Deck Bambino Fever 6-4. She's fairness, she is rock solid, unbeaten, and a few horses in the champion bumper kind of blotted their copybook. Calypso Chance, Coca Cabana. Classical Creek has a squeak, I suppose. Colcannon won basically a 3 furlong sprint at the Dublin Racing Festival, but the form is there for people to look at. And then obviously Switch from Diesel, who's I think having her 14th bumper start or something, 12th bumper start. Yeah, still a nice mare for the Ross O'Sullivan team there. So Deck, who do you like here?
Oh look, Bambino Fever is going to be hard to beat. Like, proper tough mare. Won here on New Year's Eve, went to Leopardstown and won, gone to Cheltenham and won. Like, it's very hard to see her being beaten, but if there is one to trouble her, I'd say it's Calypso Chance. He's won here. We mentioned the stats of the Masked Marvels. Now the McKiernan horse let that down today, but we didn't know anything about him. But Calypso Chance did beat Heads Up in December, and Heads Up was second to Bambino Fever at Cheltenham. So the form is there for them to put it up to her, but sometimes when mares like this come along, it's just nearly impossible to beat them, isn't it?
Yeah, they're tough, aren't they?
Yeah.
Really exciting. I hope she takes on the Geldings next year. That Dawn Run sitting there now is a penalty kick for her probably, but yeah, I hope she goes and wins this and takes on the Geldings next year. It'd be brilliant. Yeah, I think she takes all the beating here myself. On to the main event then, Deck. There's a quartet going to post for the Ladbrokes Punchestown Gold Cup over 3 miles and basically a furlong. A very select 4, but I can't wait for this now. So Banbridge, Galopin de Champ trying to win a race that he's never won, believe it or not. Monty Star and Spillans Tower, who I think has a great chance of playing Party Pooper here.
It's field for the field of 4.
It's a brilliant quartet. It really is. This is going to be cat and mouse, and I just hope that they all stand their ground. The only one that's probably happy right now is Joseph O'Brien with the ground. I would imagine the others would probably prefer a little bit of dig, but they are coming off a disappointing run in the Gold Cup. So what are your thoughts here, Deck?
I hope Galopin wins it. Looking at the ground today, look, I don't know. We're told he didn't handle the ground. And not that he didn't handle it, he just wasn't at his best on the ground at Cheltenham. But like, he still finished second. Is it enough to beat all it is? I don't know. Maybe you'd have to. I know you're all over Spillans Tower, Andy, but I think Banbridge is going to have a great chance on the ground. He won here last year over 2 miles. He's won the King George. If he's never ran well at Cheltenham, has he? He's
won a Martin Pipe.
Oh,
he has won a Martin Pipe, so
over fences, I mean.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, good save.
Yeah, look, I just want to see Galopin de Champs win this. And I think I'd love to see it. I'd love to be there. to witness it and to feel it. And you know, I have a little lad that's, you know, dying to go down. I've you know, adults as well that don't go racing, telling me they're going or looking to go, kind of come along with you. So, you know, this is what this horse has done to the public, and I think this could be one of his greatest achievements, to come back from a Gold Cup defeat when he was going for his third one, and to go and win a race that he's been beaten in twice now by Fast or Slow. It would just be brilliant. It would, you know, I think it would crown his career, even though 2 months ago we thought a third Gold Cup would crown his career. I just feel like this would. It would, you know, it's basically his story. It's the way, you know, he goes, he gets beat, and he comes back and he wins again. If he was to do it here, you know, it'd be just magical to witness it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And I would love to see him go and do it. And if this race was at Leopardstown, like he'd probably be what? He'd be 4-7, wouldn't he? Really? Even
the others might
go. Yeah. And look, I could see him even getting beat here, getting beaten next year's Durkin, and returning to the saddles and being a backable price. That's in the greedy punter in me. Kind of was hoping that happens. Even if he's rising 10, we'll touch him at Leopardstown. I can see where you're coming from, but the fact that he's got beaten in this race twice and is now a 9-year-old, and the ground is getting quick, I just think there's too many negatives. And he is probably my favourite horse in training. And I'm sorry, Spillane Tower, but he is probably my favourite horse in training. Like, he's a legend. He's a horse I'm going to be telling people about.
I think
be telling about
he has to
years
be
to come.
Everyone's favourite horse. It's
like, be, yeah.
It's like he's your favourite horse. He's everyone's favourite horse, so you get to pick another one. You know, he's automatically everyone's favourite horse.
Exactly.
You can't not be, like, you know, you can't hate him. You can't dislike him. He gets beat, he turns up. He turns up every time there's a race on. Every time there's a 3-mile Grade 1 chase on in Ireland, he's there. I'll have a bit of that, you know. Yeah. And he gets beaten, he just comes back. And he comes back and demolishes horses at Leopardstown. You know.
It's almost like he knows what he's doing at Leopardstown now as well. He eyeballs them to the last and just runs away from them. Yeah. It's just,
And it was some performance in the Gold Cup when he never looked himself. He was like Lecky Watson today in the Gold Cup. You know, never looked comfortable. Didn't really look like he was travelling. Wasn't jumping, except he still finished second. Lecky came down. But that's what I kind of remind me of, except this fella he battled. He went to the last with a squeak. Wasn't good enough up the hill, but he's turning up here. And I hope I won't be having a bet in the race, but I'm hoping he's good enough here.
Yeah, well, I will be. I'm going to back Spillane Tower. I can't not. It's more so the ground is a concern, but he's won. Like, the ground wasn't too dissimilar last season when he won the novice chase, and he's the freshest horse in the field. Which, you know, looking at some of the results today, it might prove pretty important to be fresh. And he's won at the track, which is obviously a big thing too. Him and Banbridge obviously hold that. I think Monty Star might have won at beginners there. I can't really remember if that could have been Fairy House. But he holds Monty Star on all known form. I think Spillane Tower has a massive chance. He's still only a 7-year-old. Like, his big years ahead of him next year, assuming we get a bit more rainfall. But yeah, I think Spillane Tower unfortunately spoils the party. I do very much fancy him, and if he's beaten by Galopin de Champs, so be it. I won't be too upset. As long as one of them wins. But the financial aspect, it is going to be on Spillane Tower. And it would be cool to see Jimmy Mangan in the winners' enclosure again, or another legend of the sport. I wonder if he's going to be wearing his Wexford hat. It's usually rain, moon, or shine with that, but Jesus, it's going to be
he'd be under pressure now. He'd be under pressure today if he did that.
He'd be sweating more than a horse probably after.
He was under pressure there today. It was. I brought a coat.
Yeah.
It was leaving. It was like
Jesus.
I was like, you know, race courses, they're always cold, and as it gets into the evening, the coat will go on, getting warmer. It was.
Yeah,
Get
it's
warm for
coming home
stars.
well. Well, it's coming home. It was tanking by 6 o'clock. The weather. All right, the Colin Quinn B&W Handicap Chase Deck, 2.5 miles here. Very select enough field, but it's a competitive. Who do you like?
There's two I like, both trained by Gordon. Rianne.
Yeah.
Went well in the play. Goes well at this trip. 4 to back to normal at the DRF. Definitely a chance. And Lightkeeper. Lightkeeper's quite interesting now. Won the last two. Only two handicap runs in 18 starts, and they were the last two. Up £19 overall. But a well handicapped could this horse be? After a lot of starts now before going into handicaps. Pro codes,
Yeah.
Some planning now if you were stopping one for 16 races.
It's been done in the past. So I'm in complete agreement with you. I quite like the plate form. I've mentioned it a few times. I think Jaguar could be a grade 1 horse next year, and the company sergeant was laid out for the plate basically since he was conceived, even though he was 2 different trainers. The third Masaccio was won at Ayr. Mars Harper ran a blinder in that race under Tiernan Power Roach to be 4th, but has subsequently ran in the top him. That might just take the edge off him. Jordan's then obviously didn't do a whole lot to knock the form, with a good second at Aintree in the grade 1 novice there behind Caldwell Potter. And then Rian
they all fell.
Yeah, exactly. But it's still a second, isn't it? I'll use it to build my case, right?
Isn't the matter you look at form, the way you see it. Like,
you manipulate it.
If you don't like the play form,
it's like Play-Doh, you just start twisting it. Anyway, yeah, but I thought that was a good run from Rian. I think the ground is absolutely imperative to him. He needs good ground, and he's going to have it here. And I think he's a very good chance. That could be the nap at the top for day one. Even though I've my personal best bet, but if one we agree on, it's probably Rian at 6:05 by the sounds of it. Anything for the bumper deck?
I was kind of hoping we wouldn't have a nap at the top, so I wouldn't have to go on back at him tomorrow. Well, the confidence is shot.
I've already got I think I'm onto a Bolivian at this stage. I was at a Venezuelan, but the addition to Rian probably makes it a Venezuelan now. Right.
No,
anything?
I wasn't there. I hadn't got the confidence to look at the bumper.
No confidence, no bumper stats here. Well, look, it's not. It's Sholin at 11 to 10, the entry winner. She's probably the one they all have to be. I won't be getting involved at around, as I said, around 11 to 10 or even money. So we'll just jump straight onto the Thursday then deck, because we don't want to be here all night, I suppose. The specialist group handicap hurdle kicks the card off 2 miles in front of them, and again a nice easy race to start off with, just the 25 of them. Who do you fancy? Can
we not just cover somewhere on a Thursday or like where the max field is 12?
Could you imagine
only one of them's trying?
We'll cover Exeter, will we? Like we cover a Sunday card at Exeter. Like sometimes they wouldn't even get 25 runners on a 6 race card there.
Like
they'd have to start building horse boxes.
Yeah, can we just go to just the industry meetings again? I don't like this anymore after today.
Go on, who do you like?
I like James Harbour.
Right.
She was second on her handicap debut off 105. £4 for being beaten 4 lengths or something. But the winners ran well in the Premier Handicap at Cheltenham since it was Maxia's prime. She ran a cracker, actually. She was 3rd. And the 4th has gone and won a maiden since. James Harbour has ran in a maiden again since that handicap debut. But I look, another minefield. You need a lot of luck as well in these races this week. And but look, I think she could give it a good go.
Yeah, I might give a chance to Ross O'Sullivan's runner, despite him only having 3 runs over sticks, free flow. Plenty of experience on the flat, is rated 69 in that discipline. Has improved with every run since on the over hurdle, 6th to Ethical Diamond and 3rd to Runcock, and then an easy winner beating Game On at Thurles on pretty decent ground as well. I think 113 is a very competitive opening mark for him. It might be a little bit of a culture shock to him, this 25 runner handicap.
That's
yeah.
The thing.
But I think 113 is a very fair mark for what he's achieved, and given that he's experienced on the flat, that's the reason I'm going to go with him. A handicap debut, tentative selection there, free flow for the Ross O'Sullivan team. As we move on then, deck to the next on the card, which is the trio 5 on Thursday, as my computer tries to freeze on me. The frontline security handicap chase over 2 miles. I was in 2 minds over this one. There's a few I liked. Obviously, Midnight it is. Is he well enough handicapped to go and win this? Or do I revisit a horse that is infamous with Take a Pull podcast listeners, Jasco the Dam, who was a good 5th in the Grand Annual. He made a mistake at the second last. He would have finished a lot closer to Midnight it is. In that case, if it wasn't for that mistake. Ground's very important to him. He gets us good ground. I think he's a much better chaser than he is a hurdler, and his chase mark is only 4 pounds above his hurdles mark, and he's only 6. There's a lot to like about him. I don't know if I can bring myself to back him after being scarred by him last year. What are your thoughts, Dick?
I like 2. I like the mare Law of her own. She beat Theatre Native in a beginner's chase the last day. Theatre Native has gone to that same Cheltenham meeting that Maxius Prime ran at and won.
One easy.
Very easy. She did make mistakes on her handicap chase debut at Leopardstown, but she did win a Galway hurdle back in 2023 off 116. But she's 125 over fences here. I think she has a chance. And then the Anthony Honeyball horse, Gabriel's Getaway, he won a handicap chase at Doncaster off a British mark of 122. He's off 124 here. He's 4 from 7 over fences. I can see him going well. I'd have it between the 2 of them. It's a tough race though.
Yeah, it's not easy. I don't know if I can bring myself to back Jasco to Dan. I might have a little bit on Midnight it is, given how well handicapped I thought he might have been after the Dan Moore. He made a bad mistake at Leopardstown when well beaten by Pound Derrick at the Dublin Racing Festival. He was a really good third then in the Grand Annual itself. Behind Jazzy Maddie. A replication of that form should see him at least placed. Not 100% sure how well handicapped he is off 137 now after a couple of runs, but a replication of that Grand Annual run should see him run okay, I would have thought. The 340, one of my favourite races of the week, Deck, the Latouche, over the 4 miles, over the banks. Great race, a lot of history, really strong competitive field. The 16, like Banks racing it feels like it's thriving at the moment. There's always big fields in obviously the Ladies Perpetual on Tuesday, and then obviously this race here.
Yeah,
I'm very much looking forward to this. A few Cheltenham Festival runners, Vanillier, although he did not run that well in the Grand National. A gamble horse at Cheltenham, Bustleton, the ground just completely went against him in the inside course. It takes a long time to get quicker. And the ground was quite sticky inside, probably cost him. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him go well. And the one I like very much is Stealthy Tom, who just is as safe as houses around here, really. A good record around the track, and he's often a decent price, and he's much better horse on good ground. I quite fancy him to run a big race for Enda Bolger and Simon Torrance. Who do you like?
I can't see Vanillier being beaten in this, to be honest.
All right, okay.
Yeah, look, it was a fine tour at Cheltenham after he done a couple of donuts there trying to find his way back onto the track.
Sean Flanagan put the reverse lights on.
I think Sean Flanagan wanted to come in and have a drink with us in the Arca Bar. He beat Cocoa Beach here in February quite easily. I really can't see him being beaten. But we had a chat today about Keandana going over the banks in a few years, so
really?
That's most definitely on the card. Yeah, I'd be when we're talking about it, I was slightly worried that he like I was saying to Ross, that he jumps fences, he clears them, and I think he might not have. He said, "Don't worry, we'll scale him well, and he'll be jumping through the bushes, and he'll take the." He kind of had it in his head as well. I know you said it many times.
I said it. Yeah, he's nimble and clever horse. Yeah, I thought the Banks would actually suit him myself. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's look, could get you today's like this, you know.
Absolutely.
And you know, and just looking around today at people having a runner at the Punchestown Festival and the Buzz, and you know, I was fortunate enough to be invited along with Richard Murphy, who had a runner in the first. And just a great experience, and you know, it'd be a dream to have a runner at the Punchestown Festival. So hopefully someday they win the Latouche.
Could you win the best one though? Could you win the Latouche and then come back and win the Bishop's Court Cup? Because Ross owns land in Kildare, doesn't he? Is he allowed? Is Ross a farmer?
But the Bishop's Court is over. Bishop's Court's on the racetrack.
That's a wonder. You could still win it though.
Yeah.
Ross owns land. Win it anyway.
Yeah. Ross owns land. Yeah, you have to.
Very good. So, okay.
Yeah, that's right. A little bit of breaking news for a few years' time.
Count Dana has a Banks career on the horizon, maybe when he gets a little bit older.
Yeah, future Latouche winner.
Future Latouche winner. I'm going to stick with Stealthy Tom. I think he could bring the gap between him and Vanillier a little bit closer, given Vanillier's exploits at the Cheltenham Festival, Aintree, and the ground. Now, that's not to say Vanillier won't handle the ground, but I think he's a bit of a better horse on softer ground. But we will see. He does love the Banks, Vanillier. Have you seen, actually, before I go on, have you seen the clip of Vanillier schooling himself, going around jumping? He goes around like Gavin's yard, just goes around the circle, just jumping the fences himself. Yeah, it's good. Loves it. Loves the game. The Conway Piling handicap hurdle at 4:15's next. 3 mile handicap hurdle, and honestly, Deck, I fancy about half the field in this. This is really, really hard. Like a few horses that I followed a lot this year. Beckett Rock, I know you've like.
I might go on holidays. I might go to Benidorm for this next year. For the week.
Yeah.
Is that where they all go for Cheltenham, Benidorm?
Yeah, it's exactly it. So yeah, horses that you like, that Beacon Edge up there getting his ground, £7 coming off his back. Beckett Rock in there, Carl de Torrell, Win Some Lose Some, Tagman I think has been mentioned by us, Comfort Zone, Park of Kings, a horse that I think he could have gone a lot closer at Aintree, but going to Cheltenham and Aintree and coming here is a bit of an ask. He's the one I initially came down on. I think Beckett Rock's very interested in trying 3 miles as well. Might head back both.
Did he handle the ground, Beckett Rock?
Like he ran well in the Coral Cup, like he was staying on. He was 6th, I think, in the Coral Cup, wasn't he? So, and like he was staying on, and the ground was lively enough. Now this is obviously different again, but I'd have optimism he would. I can't be said for certain though. So, who's your selection?
Yeah, I did. I thought I was going to come down on him, but I'm worried about the ground. I do like Park of Kings, and I know you said he's been to the 2 other spring festivals, but he's won on good. There's not many of them in here who've won on proper good ground. Yeah. And he ran a fine race at Aintree, beating 11 3/4 of a British mark of 132. He's a pound higher here, Irish mark.
He was messed around at the start as well. I really fancied him. I had a pretty decent each way betting him, and I did not necessarily felt hard done by, but I know a few people that followed me and did. I would fancy him here myself. Yeah,
my worry is he's just creeping up the weights without winning, and it's like doesn't get any easier. And I'm gonna take 2 in this race because it's impossible. The other one's Building Bridges.
Gonna lose more money.
Yeah, gonna lose more money. Building Bridges. Won a handicap at Perth off a British mark of 129. In here off 131. Beaten 10 lengths at Aintree in that same race off 134. Look, he'll go on the ground. I think the 2 of them have a chance, but just give me Clonmel on a Thursday.
We're nearly there, don't worry.
Beacon Edge, he gets his ground.
Look, he'll mug you off, is he?
He'll probably go and win it as I'm standing there with my head in my hands.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Park of Kings myself. I might have a little bit on Beckett Rock as well. Very, as you said, very tough race. The 450 then, the Close Brothers Irish EVF Mares Novice Hurdle. Now, hopefully this one is easy. She gets her ground. She's very unlucky at the Cheltenham Festival, but 6.5 surely takes all the beating here. It is a competitive race, but I imagine Connections be disappointed if she's beat here now.
I thought she'd be quite a short price. She's going to be odds on, isn't she?
You would have thought.
Yeah. like when I first started to look at the race, I didn't realise she was in it. Like
Right.
I know it's a grade 2 at Cheltenham, but the one at Fairy House is a grade 1, and she was going to run there only for the ground went. She's probably a grade 1 mare in mare's only company, you know, and she might be a grade 1 horse against the geldings. It's a listed race. There's a lot of listed form in here, and it's that inconsistent form. Like Beaufort Storm, who I quite like, she was beat a short head by Cottesloe Sunshine, off levels. She gets £3 here. Then she was third in the grade 3, and then she was 6th in the grade 2 behind.
Just being an L.
Yeah, but then you have like Dream On Baby was second in that grade 3, ahead of Beaufort Storm, but she was behind Beaufort Storm in that listed race where Beaufort Storm was beaten by Cottesloe Sunshine.
Yeah.
So
this is why I've always said to you, mares aren't the easiest to assess, and that's why sometimes you could get some that are chucked in, and they often win at the big festivals as a result. So
like it's there's just, they don't have that consistency. She should go with it, you know.
Yeah, you would have thought.
Now they're all like talking about those two, Dream On Baby and Beaufort Storm. You're like, what kind of a machine is Aurora Vega? I know we gave her a bit of stick, particularly before she won the Fairy House race, not the one the last day, the one before that.
The grade 3, yeah, the Salarino.
Grade 3,
yeah.
She ran away with Paul the last day in the grade.
Yeah. She's for sale now, apparently. She's gone to the sales.
Aurora Vega.
Yeah, she's going through the ring. I imagine Willie will keep her in the yard, but yeah, she is for sale. Yeah.
Right, I'm surprised.
It'd be interesting to see. Yeah, so am I. We'll see what she fetches.
But,
I think I've seen it somewhere that she has a sales entry. Yeah.
She might be an absolute machine.
She could. Yeah, she's maturing anyway.
Yeah, like the last, it was the grade 1. She won the grade 1 last week, didn't she?
She did. Yeah, the Fergal O'Brien horse she beat. Was second, was beaten a 1-10 on its previous start. That must. Yeah. I don't know why you'd be sticking that in your accumulators. I think it was a Catrick or something, but. Geez, that's some beat, isn't it? If you're trying to just get 10% on your investment in an accumulator or something. But jeez, there's people out there that probably did it.
Definitely 6.5 should win this.
Yeah, I think so.
Like it's a listed class field, and she's better than that. So if she doesn't win this, just forget
pack your bags. We'll see on tap 103 for Clonmel. Right, so 5:25, the Barberstown Castle Novice Chase. This is the return of Majborough, who I'm still kind of in shock about that article, how close he got to winning after doing what he did at the second last. Great to see Paul Nichols remember that Ireland's a country and bring Rubod over. Only by night, good to see her. I would imagine she's a doubtful runner given how quick the ground is going to be, and that they took her out at Aintree. I don't know why you'd run her at Aintree or not run her at Aintree and then run her here. Maybe, I don't know, closer to home. I don't know. But Jesse Evans, I think he came out for similar. He came out on ground concerns. I think at Fairy House. Brookie ran a blinder in the Aintree grade 1 behind Khalif de Berlay. Would have loved to have seen him here. I'm looking forward to seeing him next year. And then the big, massive Trojan horse, Janu Lapan, who do I dare to say is the most competent jumper in this field? Maybe, I don't know, possibly gets his ground.
Look, he was second to Cham Kiley on heavy. He for a big horse, he seems to prefer good ground. But Majborough's a freak, isn't he? Like, to do what he done on America.
How hard of a race did he give himself, though, is what I want to know. Like,
to only be beaten, what was he beating, a length?
It's only, yeah.
He must be a freak.
Yeah, he must be. What price is he going to be? Like, surely he'd be long odds on, but you'd be watching it from behind the sofa, wouldn't you? Like, giving away.
If you had a bet on him,
yeah. There will be people out there that have done that. Yeah, I was thinking about 2 to 5. That looks like what he is.
It's going to be it's going to be like, it's not the all course at Cheltenham. It's more a bit fair on this course, like, you know.
Yeah.
I know it's still quite undulating, but like you're not. It's not silly. Like, you know, you still have fences in a line down the back. You know,
Yeah, it's
you're
not like
turning
Blade
constantly
Thunderland
on.
or something.
You're turning constantly on the old course, like, you know.
Yeah.
So, but he must be a freak to do what he done. And I'd love to see
Yeah.
him put on a show, because I really like him.
Well, I'm working on the assumption that Only by Night's going to be a non-runner. And I'm probably, depending on the prices, I'll back Shanu Lapan without the favour. Because I think he's going to have his ground. He's a competent jumper. And
I'd follow you in on that.
yeah, I think that'll be my bet. And he's a little bit fresher than the other runners. And I think he's just better than Jesse Evans, despite being a pound inferior. He's 3 years younger.
And his performance, Frank, today.
Form was Frank. I'm not going to use my Play-Doh and mold that in because of just how much I've embarrassed myself with Champ Kiley. But yeah. The stairs hurdles next, another that you could give a chance to a lot of runners. Do we dare work on the assumption that Tehupa is his participation going to be in doubt here? They risked him last year.
Rocky's Diamond wins this on the ground.
Rocky's Diamond. All right, okay.
Not even just because it's the ground, but he won a Galmoy on good ground. Probably the only Galmoy ever to be ran on good ground.
I was testing enough that Galmoy, wasn't it?
No, it was
soft. I thought it was a deluge. I thought it was soft. He ran well on decent ground. I think that was before. I think he won a handicap on good ground at Gowran. But I'm pretty sure the Galmoy was testing enough now.
Was it?
I could be wrong. I think it was.
Bottomless.
Yeah, it wasn't like, it wasn't
like if it's soft, they water it for the Galmoy.
Yeah, I think it was testing enough, but not like, as you said, not in the swamps of the Amazon testing. So yeah, but I get what you're saying though. Like, the decent ground is not a problem to him. You think he's just going to go and win this?
Well, look, the fort at Cheltenham. I don't think people are. I haven't heard anyone talk about how well he ran at Cheltenham.
No, I completely agree with you. I think the horse has been disrespected a little bit. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's only 5.
Yeah.
I think this horse is the world at his feet, and I think he goes and wins this, and probably still won't get the credit he deserves.
Yeah, it takes a while for staying hurdlers to get the credit they deserve. Great to see Fergal O'Brien bringing over Crambo. And then we've a few, dart throws. Corner Muster trying 3 miles. Asterion Forlange, great to see him. He's always just seems by the default to rock up in this race. And then even the most interesting runner, I think. Now, I don't know how much of a chance you can give it to him, but he's been in good form in 2 mile Grade 1 hurdles. Winter Fog at the age of 11. Very interesting runner. Like, when you read out his form, when you read out his form, like his last 4 runs, third to Brighter. Like, I'm not gonna mention the distances now, but third to Brighter Days Ahead, second to Brighter Days Ahead, third to State Man, third to Golden Ace. I'm not gonna mention. He's probably been beating a cumulative 200 lengths in those races, but he does stay 3 miles, as we know from his younger days. Now he isn't getting any younger, but he is one that I could see going well at a big price. With Brian Hayes aboard, I've no real vested interest. I might follow you in on Rocky's Diamond because I can kind of see where you're coming from, and depending on the price of Winter Fog, I might have a little fun betting him because he could be a huge price, and like, despite not winning in quite a long time, he's in good form. So yeah, might have a little chance. On to the 6:35 then, deck, the JP and M Doyle C&G flat race. So another bumper. Who do you like here? Or have you had a look through it?
I didn't look. As I said, the competence on the floor. A lot of talk about this Gassar Fatal. He's got a mention earlier on. He beat Car Counter in his point to point. I believe he was quite good when he won at Gowran.
Yeah.
As was Danny Donadoni. I thought, did he win at Gowran? Limerick. He won at Limerick.
Limerick, yeah, he was quite. The Order of St. George, yeah, he was quite power. He was quite impressive now.
Yeah, I thought he was. But if this thing in the Tim O'Driscoll colours is what they say is, he should win it.
Yeah, he did he looked a little bit like Bob Ollinger the way he went and won that Gowran bumper. I think it was the same bumper as well.
Is that in the positive or the negative?
That was a positive.
Right. Okay.
And then gold in the mountains, Janie Mack. I think he won a bumper this. I think he won this bumper last year actually. Not
Did that win the bumper on the Saturday?
You know what? He ran in the bumper on the Saturday. He didn't win.
Right.
He won the bumper on at Leopardstown. I actually thought, and I'm delighted he wasn't, but I actually thought he was fatally injured in that maiden hurdle behind work ahead. So it's great to see him back. I thought we lost him. A bit of an Ian Wright moment there with the takes his hat off. Yeah, good to see Gold in the Mountains back. But I don't really have too much of an opinion. Like He Can't Dance was impressive as well on his debut for Gordon Elliott, but it hasn't really gone on. But yeah, as you said, if this was our fatal,
raving about.
He looked like a nice horse, yeah. But I think if the rumours are true about this Qassar Fatal, we should be seeing a nice horse. So we'll see what happens. Do we have a bet today for day 3 deck? Possibly not. I don't know.
Day 3, maybe Rocky's Diamond.
Possibly Rocky's Diamond. Yeah.
Or Park of Kings.
Oh, Park of Kings, of course. I like a lot of McManus. So I think Stealthy Tom and the Latouche and Park of Kings would be my 2 stronger ones on.
You bring a bag of caps with you.
Yeah, exactly. Which one am I on? Yeah.
I do like. Stroke. I know. I'm just having a look again. Jesus, it's ridiculously hard. Rianne, we liked, didn't we?
Rianne, yeah. I think that was Wednesday. It was Wednesday. So there's a few I like Wednesday. Obviously, Rocky Mountain Blue, one of my bets of the week. I did like Rianne Splan's Tower. In for the night, and who was my other one on Friday? I think I had one more. Maybe not. I think did I name 4 or 5 there? In for the night, Rocky Mountain Blue, Splan's Tower, Rianne, and Got Glory. And then on Thursday, definitely Stealthy Tom and Park of Kings. Any closing comments for yourself there, Deck?
No, look, had a great day today. Forehead got scorched off me. What a country when the weather's good.
Nothing better.
Can't wait to see everyone at the Deco Carol 10 tomorrow again.
I'm looking forward to dragging our corpses to Tap 103 if Tap 101 is anything to go by, but I don't think so. I think we're going to have a good day, good 2 days here. So just keep listening, keep liking, keep subscribing, commenting, and say hello to Deck. Maybe bring him some Factor 50 if you see him in the tent. Over the course of the week, he's probably going to need it. Until then, guys, that has been Tap 102, and all the best, and bye-bye.
Cheers.